And this is the psychology of people who are inflicted by materialistic ego. That we think like this. We see, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, the only reason I see faults in others is because I am honeycombed with so many faults myself. So Kamsa's, if he went to a psychologist or psychiatrist, they would probably diagnose him as being in denial. Yes? He's done such atrocious things, and yet he's thinking. He's not just saying, he's actually thinking that Krishna is doing atrocious things. He's killed so many of his own people, and so many of his own loyal people have escaped to other places. And his own father, Ugrasena the king, he tore him down from his throne and took his position and imprisoned his father. And now he's saying, my father is so demoniac, he wants to take my throne. I will kill him. Akrura is listening to this. Akrura is a very pious devotee of the Lord. But in his mind he understands that Krishna is my beloved Lord, the Supreme Personality of God. And even though I go on a mission like this, Krishna will understand why I'm coming. Now, the nature of devotional service, sometimes we do something that Krishna understands, but devotees don't understand. That happens sometimes. But he knew that Krishna would understand. And even if it meant, like Bhishma later on, to be on the wrong side, for the service of Krishna, he was willing to even accept being misunderstood for all time to come. Kamsa told Akrura, I have a brand new handmade chariot for you to go in. Because in those days they didn't have like chariot plants. Everything was handmade in those days. So there was a beautiful handmade chariot. And Kamsa was thinking, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that Akrura will really want to ride this brand new state-of-the-art chariot. It will further induce him to do it. But Akrura was thinking something very different. He was thinking, there's no possibility that I would drive Krishna in a chariot that Kamsa had driven in. Because this was equal to Kamsa's chariot, and better. He said, but because it's brand new, it's like Bhoga. It's offering Krishna something that nobody else has ever enjoyed. It is suitable for Krishna. Then Kamsa called for Chanura and Mushtika and his ministers and said, I want you to erect immediately a giant wrestling arena where all the citizens of Mathura and so many others from the outlying villages and towns could come to see this wrestling match and this bow ceremony. And then he told them, and for auspiciousness, you should slaughter many animals immediately and offer them to Lord Shiva. And he explained, we will have Kuvalayapita, this giant, all-powerful elephant there that will kill Krishna. And if it doesn't work, we will have Chanura and Mustika. They are wrestlers whose strength is like lightning bolts. So they had all the arrangements made, and Akrura left. Meanwhile, Shukadev Goswami says, Krishna was herding his cows with Balaram and his friends. And another Asura came to Vrindavan. In the morning, Keshi came, Akrura's on his way, and in the afternoon, Vyomasura arrives. Vyomasura means the demon who is like the sky, who can fly. Very powerful person. Incredible yogic magician. Although he had a gigantic Asura form, by his potencies, he transformed himself to look just like a very tiny little, simple-hearted, loving cowherd boy. And went to play with Krishna. That day, they played a game. Some of the boys took the roles of sheep. Others took the role of shepherds. That means people who take care of sheep. And other boys took the role of thieves. And the game was that the thieves were to try to capture the sheep. And the sheep were trying to get away from the thieves. And the shepherds were trying to protect the sheep. Very nice little game for children. And they're playing and they're laughing and they're joking and everything else. And meanwhile, Vyoma, he's not laughing and joking. He's very serious. He was stealing the little boys who were sheep. And instead of, like touching them and then they're out of the game, he was grabbing them and taking them. It explains in the Bhagavatam that they were playing this game on Govardhan Hill. Now, if you go to Kamyavan, there's Vyoma Gufa, the cave of Vyomasura. It's still there today. You can go and chant your japa in this cave. You can have kirtan in the cave. Vyoma was taking these little gopas and putting them in the cave. And then with a huge rock, he would seal the opening of the cave. So they were literally prisoners in a dark cave where there was no air circulation. And one by one, he was stealing all the boys, and there were many, many boys, and putting them all in the cave. Pitch dark. And soon Krishna saw that of all these cowherd boys, there was only 4 or 5 left. And he understood that this little Gopa, who seems so simple and innocent, is Vyoma. And his intention is to kill me and kill all my friends. So Krishna, he played the part of a constable. I forgot to tell you that part. Some of the boys were constables. The thieves were trying to catch the sheep. The shepherds were trying to protect the sheep. The sheep were trying to escape from the thieves, and the constables were supposed to catch the thieves. So Krishna played his role very nicely, and he caught Vyomasura. And little cowherd boy grabbed him and squeezed him. And Vyomasura understood that this is a very, very difficult situation. So he tried to escape Krishna's grip. But he couldn't. Then he resumed his original size. Massive, like a mountain he grew. And with all of his strength, he was trying to get away from Krishna's grip, but Krishna just holding on to him. He couldn't escape. And then Krishna picked him up and threw him on the ground. And Vyomasura lost all of his air, couldn't breathe, and was liberated. After doing this, as the demigods were showering flowers upon Krishna, he went to the cave and he broke with one movement of his hand, he broke the rock, and moved it aside and brought all his friends out. Vyomasura represents falling into the trap of Maya through unfavorable association. Unfavorable association can come in many forms. That type of association that distracts us from pure devotional service. It could come in many ways. And it's interesting how Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives Vyomasura as the symbol, the personification of this. Because sometimes unfavorable association appears to be our best friends. In the sense, very pleasing. Vyomasura appeared like a cowherd boy, like Krishna's friend. When Maya wants to get us, she will present situations that you will enjoy so much if you do this. You'll be so happy. If you're with these people, you will enjoy so much and be so happy. And it might even really be good for your Krishna consciousness. Mahatsevam dwaram ahuravam tamo dwaram yoshita sangi sangam. Rishabdev tells us in Bhagavatam that association with Mahatseva, service to great souls, and association with great souls is the door that opens the path to liberation. And associating with people who are too much attached to various distractions, people too much attached to their egos, too much attached to ideas that distract from faith in bhakti and the supreme absolute personality of Godhead, and our position as the eternal servant of the Lord. That association, like Vyoma, can create a great, great impediment to our spiritual progress. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, not only unfavorable association, but also too much attachment due to our false ego to our wealth, our knowledge, or our accomplishments. This is how subtle Maya can be. Even if in Krishna consciousness we accomplish great things, if we become proud of our accomplishments, if it feeds our egos, it's Vyomasura. Krishna tells in Gita, Prakrite kriyamana niguna karamani sarvash ahankara. That bewildered by material energy, we think we're the doers of activities. Krishna tells, I am the strength of the strong, I'm the ability in man, I'm the intelligence of the intelligence. Krishna consciousness is whatever great things we may do, it humbles us that I'm just an instrument of the Lord. There's a beautiful lecture of Srila Prabhupada. It was in London, I think 1973. He had just installed Radha Gokulananda at Bhaktivedanta Manor. And devotees from all over Europe and all over the world were coming. This was an incredible event because Srila Prabhupada came to America after 38 days on a cargo ship with 40 rupees and didn't know anyone. Was living in Butler, Pennsylvania for a month, and then came and lived in the Bowery, which was then a ghetto in New York City. And it seemed like he had no one and nothing to help him. And now he had centers all over the world. And George Harrison of the Beatles, one of the most famous people on the planet, bought this mansion, this manor for him, a big estate, and he was installing deities there. Radha Gokulananda, in 1971, I believe, Prabhupada had a Pandal program in New Delhi. And the deities they worshipped through that Pandal was Radha Gokulananda, these deities. And then later they were shipped to London. And they were installed on Janmashtami. So it was an incredible, unprecedented, historical event in the pages of Vaishnavism. And the next day was his Vyas Puja, Prabhupada's appearance day. And there were hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of devotees there. And Srila Prabhupada, he was giving credit to everyone else. He said, he quoted Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he said, you will be happy to know that very soon we will be coming out with the full Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Prabhupada said, it is not my credit. It is the credit of Prajumana Mahashoy. He has actually done the work. And his wife, Arundhati. And then he started giving credit to everybody for everything. Most of them were Grihastha disciples. He was praising them. And Srila Prabhupada would say many times, my only qualification is I'm simply repeating the words of my Guru Maharaj. My only qualification, I'm simply trying to execute the order of my Guru Maharaj. At the very beginning, on the Jaladuta in his prayer, Srila Prabhupada, he prayed, Krishna, make me your puppet. Make me your puppet and make me dance as you want me to dance. So of course, we give all glories to Srila Prabhupada. But why is he so worthy of all of our glories? Because he gives all glory to his Guru, the Parampara, and Krishna. To take the credit and become egoistic over our accomplishments is a great impediment. And we have seen sometimes devotees accomplish amazing things. But if it makes us arrogant, it's just a matter of time. Internally, we're being actually strangled. We may think that we're accomplishing so many things, but if we're egoistic about it and we start criticizing others, making aparads to others, we're like in the cave of the grips of Vyomasura. We are Vyomasura, instruments of his powers. So we have to be very careful. Saragrahi, to seek the essence. And what is the essence? Pure devotional service. The preliminary state by which we enter into the realm of that essence is nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kameye. Mama janmani janmanishwari bhavatad bhaktirohite. Krishna, I do not want wealth. I do not want the pleasures of the senses. I do not want fame or followers. I only want to serve you unconditionally, according to your wish, even birth after birth after birth. That is the essence. That is Krishna consciousness. So after teaching all these incredible lessons, Akrura arrives in the evening. It was a very, very action-packed day, like every day in Vrindavan. We're just getting a sample here of life in Vrindavan. They woke up and Keshi came. Around lunchtime, Vyomasura came. And in the evening, Akrura is arriving. And as Akrura sees the whole time he's driving his chariot from Mathura to Vrindavan, he's offering deep, humble, loving prayers for service to Krishna, for the shelter of Krishna. And our acharyas teach us that entering Vrindavan is not possible in a deep way through a train ticket or a rickshaw or a tanga or even a car. We can physically enter into Vrindavan, but the spirit of Vrindavan can only be entered when we have the consciousness like Akrura. Totally humbling ourselves, crying, praying for the shelter of Krishna. Like a beggar. Whether we're kings with great fortunes or whether we're Goswamis living under trees, that's not important. We have seen even the greatest, most powerful, wealthy kings and others. Pundarik Vidyanidhi was a very wealthy man. But he had this humility. Everything is Krishna's, let me serve. As was King Prataparudra, as was Ambarish Maharaj, as was Yudhisthira Maharaj when he became king. And then we have Raghunath Das Goswami, who was living under trees and hardly eating anything, just wearing discarded cloth of the Brijabasis and making it into a little loincloth. Whatever it may be, entering into Vrindavan is this mood. That is personified in Akrura, like a beggar, begging for grace, begging for service. Not, my Lord, how may I serve you? But rather, my Lord, you've given me everything I have. Please allow me the supreme fortune and treasure of my life to serve you and to please you. In this state, we can purify our hearts very quickly as we chant the holy names. In the spiritual world, even the echo are personalities. So, nothing is there is nothing that is a thing in the spiritual world. Every apparent thing is a fully liberated, conscious personality. The energy, the Shakti of Sri Radha for the pleasure of Krishna. So, in this way, we are being given the key of how to actually enter Vrindavan, wherein we could actually feel Sri Radha Krishna's presence, where we could actually be in the consciousness to deeply appreciate their wonderful pastimes, where we could actually appreciate the unlimited value of every grain of dust in Braj Bhumi, every tree, every leaf, every mountain. That consciousness is not something that we can just impose upon our mind. That consciousness is not something that happens automatic just because we're physically there. It's a consciousness that is revealed to us by grace. When through our gurus and through the Vaishnavas, Srimati Radharani and Lord Sri Krishna are pleased with us. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. When we have that loving spirit of service, then they reveal themselves to us. Thank you very much. And Srila Prabhupada taught us, when we have that consciousness in Vrindavan, then we can actually experience Vrindavan in feelings of separation within our own heart, wherever we are, anywhere in the world. Is there any questions? Ananda Vrindavan Prabhu has questions.
Thank you, Maharaj. Very nice class. Maharaj, you are speaking about Casey, that you don't have to show that you are great. In spiritual life, what happens is, this is my experience somewhat. In the beginning of our Krishna consciousness, somebody tells you you are great. We know the philosophy and we understand that I am nothing. All the things is happening by Krishna. And I have to maintain the humility, otherwise there will be no way I can maintain my Krishna consciousness. But when you spend more and more years in devotional life, and somehow by Krishna's inconceivable way you get some success, and then a flow of devotees tell that you are great. Everybody tells you are great. Everybody says that something is special in you. That flow which is coming at a time, to maintain a mental equilibrium at that moment of time, it's extremely difficult, even if we know the philosophy. And we know that supposing anything going wrong, I'll be going away from Krishna consciousness altogether, because pride will kill me, and pride is the only thing that Krishna doesn't want it. So when a big flow of greatness and all those things comes, at that time, even if we know the philosophy, then also it becomes so difficult to maintain the mental equilibrium. At that time, what is the shelter that we have to take at that moment of time, so that our consciousness doesn't get disturbed and we maintain the same humility what we wanted to have it?
Hare Krishna. Your question is very great. Because you are very great. And being so great as you are, with such great questions, what is your hope for survival? The only hope is to be honest, be simple, and be grateful, because nothing is yours. In a second, you could be blind. In a second, you could lose your power to speak, lose your power to think, lose your power to follow moral principles. Daiviheshu gunamayi mamamaya duratyaya. Material energy is infinitely more powerful than us. We have to take shelter. So when people say we're great, it should actually humble us. It shouldn't make us proud. Because we should know that we're not the doer. That Krishna's doing through me, this is his greatness. The more we're a sincere devotee, the more they're glorified and praised, the more humble they get. Because he's saying this, it's almost like magnifying our worthlessness when people praise us. Because we realize it's not me, it's Krishna. We take shelter of Krishna. And we're grateful to Krishna for allowing us to do this service for him, as long as he wants us to do it. And we're grateful to the people in that sense who are even praising us because they're humbling us. That's not just knowledge. That's just being honest. It's dishonest to take credit. It's just like if a wealthy man gives his assistant 10 crores of rupees to put in the bank. And the man goes and says, "This is my money." Is that honest? Not only is it not honest, but it just doesn't work. It's just he may fool the banker and everything like that for a little time, but eventually he has to pay the consequence. So similarly, whatever we have is the gifts. If it wasn't for all the Vaishnavas around who have given us so much knowledge and so much inspiration and so much direction and so much strength, we couldn't be doing the service we're doing. If it wasn't for our gurus and our guru parampara, we wouldn't even know what to do, nor would we have any strength to do it. If it wasn't for Krishna within our heart, giving us every single power we have, what could we accomplish? So everything is his property, sarvaloka maheshwaram. Bhoktaram jagatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. If we want to be peaceful, we understand these things. Krishna is the proprietor of everything, including all our skills and whatever we have and all resources. And everything ultimately is meant for his enjoyment. Because Krishna is the best well-wishing friend of everyone. And if we really want to be a friend of someone, just be the representative of Krishna. The greatest friend just brings us to the ultimate friend, Krishna. You see, you have to be humble to be grateful. An egoistic person cannot actually be humble. We could speak in a humble way, but we can't in our heart be humble. To be grateful, we have to be humble, that we really appreciate. Is it grateful to think, you have given me this, but I deserve more? Or at least I deserve this. To actually be grateful. I don't deserve, but I'm getting. Thank you. And even if a wealthy man, patram pushpam palam toyam, even though may not need things, but we all need love. Yes? A parent is grateful to a child when the child offers them love, or even a little gift out of love. To actually value what's really valuable. To humble ourselves. Then we could be grateful. Not that Krishna and the world see what I have done. Rather, thank you, Krishna. You allowed me to do this for you. This is your greatness. And all the world, that you have accepted my service is your greatness. You have accepted the service that Krishna has allowed me to do. That is your greatness. That is the Vaishnava consciousness. Does that answer your question? Really? I'm very grateful to you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.